The different login roles we can set up in Booker gives us the power to limit the access employees have when logging in. Let's go ahead and check out these different roles and explain the variations between them. We can access the login page from System Settings here on the left. Click on New User to create one. As a side note, we are able to create a login when we create a new employee in the system, but we can create them independently as well. Here are some best practices to remember when setting up login roles. First, all employees using the Booker system should have their own separate logins. This practice allows for better management, auditing, and security. Sharing logins across the platform is simply not a good practice as it can interfere with these important factors. Second, when building logins for employees, use the employee's personal emails here instead of the main business email. Third, for the username, it's recommended to use the employee's personal email. Now let's set up the login. First, enter in the name and email of this login user. Next, pick a role for the login. Currently, we are viewing Booker from the admin role. The admin role is the highest level login role in the system and encompasses all these other roles. Admins have access to all the tabs and pages in the navigation bar, along with being able to access system settings. The rest of these roles can be combined for the most part to ensure that employees have the access they need in order to perform their job duties. The only two roles that cannot be combined are Reservationist and Staff. We will also need to attach a login to a specific employee from the drop-down here, unless this is an admin login. The Reservationist role is a great option for front desk staff that are responsible for booking appointments and taking payment. Employees with this role will be able to see customer contact information too. Notice the optional permissions that appear with this role below. Each login role, except for admin and reporting, have optional permissions which provide or limit additional functionality the role can have. Always take time to go over these. With reservationists, for example, we can allow them to void orders or not. The Support Center article, Creating Logins and Roles, Optional Permissions Explained, lists all these optional permissions for each role and is a great resource to use during this process. When a reservationist role logs in, it looks like this. Notice the navigation bar and what this role can access. The reservationist role doesn't have access to system settings. The staff role is typically given to service providers to allow them to keep track of their appointments. The staff role only has 3 optional permissions to enable or disable. If we do not want the employee to see customer information like emails and phone numbers, we'll want to leave this permission for Create Appointments set to No. When a staff role with all optional permissions disabled logs in, it looks like this. When a staff role with enabled permissions logs in, it looks like this. And regardless of how the optional permissions are set, the staff role doesn't have access to system settings. The marketing role is beneficial to give to any employee that manages any of the marketing tools, like scheduled campaigns, automations, and specials. It provides access to the marketing tab, and we can include it with the other roles here. When a marketing role logs in, it looks like this. The marketing role doesn't have access to system settings. The Products role gives the login access to the Products tab and is great for employees that manage product inventory. It can be included with the other roles here too. When a product role logs in, it looks like this. The Product role doesn't have access to system settings. The User Manager role is great for employees that are in charge of entering new employees and logins into the system. The User Manager role will automatically include the Reservationist role, and in addition to having reservationist access and functionality, this role also provides minimal access to system settings in order to create new employees and logins. And with the optional permissions, we can further limit what this login can do. When a User Manager role logs in, it looks like this, and user managers have limited access to system settings. The Document Manager role gives the login access to the Document Storage tab in the customer profile and minimal access to system settings where documents are managed. This is a great role for employees that manage customer forms, like waivers and service agreements. When a Document Manager role logs in, it looks like this, and document managers have limited access to system settings. The reporting role will give access to the Reports tab in the navigation bar and is useful to show employees personal payroll information. This role can be checked off in combination with any of the other roles. After saving the reporting role, the next step is to choose which reports this login will have access to. From the main login page, notice that any login with a reporting role will have Reports Location on the far right. Click on Location to choose which reports this login will be able to access. All of the reports will be disabled as a default, and as the admin, we can come to this page and enable the reports we want this employee to have access to. For instance, we may want to give employees access to their personal payroll information. When a reporting role logs in, it looks like this, and any login with the reporting role added to it will see this Reports tab in the navigation bar. Let's finish setting up the login now. At the bottom, enter in the username and password. If we want the employee to create their own password, we can enter a temporary one and check this box so they will be prompted to change it once they log in for the first time. Click Submit to finish. One final tip. After creating a login, test it out. It's a best practice to test all logins to ensure proper setup before giving the login credentials to the employee. And logins can be changed at any time. If we need to edit a login after it's created, we can do that from the Logins page in System Settings. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.